fine, and it's very nice to be here. It's a slightly large room, isn't it?
Yes,
I
we
want.
need you
Can
to
you
speak
hear me
loud.
all right if I
No.
speak like this?
No, you've got to be a little bit louder.
Okay. Can you hear me at this level?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I shall try.
Right.
If anyone stops hearing me, raise a hand or throw a cupcake or something. Anything to alert me, and I shall try and speak up or move around or something. So I'm a physio. I do have a terrible feeling I'm just about to spend the next hour teaching you to suck eggs, and you'll be thinking, okay, well, we know this. So in a way, that's going to be a good thing, isn't it? Because you can be reassured that you are, knowledgeable. And the main thing is keep moving. You can turn off now, basically. And I suspect because you're here, you are exactly the sort of people who are keeping moving and keeping active. But anyway, I shall press on and hope that I don't lose you all. Right, so hopefully this works. So this is what I'm planning to talk about today. Am I in the way? So this is what I'm planning to talk about. So feel free to leave if this sounds really boring. But I'm going to skim over the sort of physical effects and the causes and the neurophysiology of Parkinson's, because I'm not a medical expert. And,
That's it.
Oh,
Got
hello.
it.
Oh, right.
I really think we don't want to miss a word of what you say.
No, very sensible. If I hold it like this, does that work? Yes? Is that
Yes, keep it
going to
reasonable.
be all right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. It'll probably end up down by my hips in a minute. Okay, so we'll talk a bit about the physical effects and a bit about physiotherapy, and then I'm going to talk about some moving and handling issues, and talk about equipment a little bit, and then I've got some possible exercises that we could maybe all do at the end, depending how we're feeling. But anyway, some things to think about and, look at. Okay, so now I'm really going to be teaching you to suck eggs here, but the most common physical symptoms are tremor and rigidity, and what the doctors call bradykinesia, which means slowness of movement, right? Well, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know a million times over. And it's this degenerative, so a sort of, slow degeneration at whatever pace, and the main thing that's going on is degeneration of this part of the brain called the substantia nigra, which means black bit, black blob in the middle of your brain. And if you sort of think about that as the oil can, it produces dopamine, which is the sort of oil that helps your brain to work. And so if you think, okay, so the oil can is drying up, it's a good way of thinking about it, really. It means that movement gets harder, and it's harder to do things. I also think that people's perception of their own movements can change. So sometimes people say, I talk to my wife and she won't listen to me. She says she can't hear me. And I talk to the wife and she'll say, well, you're mumbling. And they'll say, I'm not mumbling, I'm speaking as I've always spoken. And they'll be like, darling, I promise you're mumbling. So there's this sort of perception. And I think the same is true of movement. I think people misjudge the speed and the amplitude of their movements a little bit. The important thing is that everyone is different, and everyone's experience of this disease is different. Symptoms tend to occur gradually, but the speed, that can change. And so the most important thing is that your own Parkinson's, your own experience of that is unique to you. And I know that's a cliche, but really everybody is different. So it's very tempting to sort of look at someone else and think, oh gosh, I'm not doing as well as them, or they're doing better than me, or whatever. But I think you just got to give yourself a bit of a break and think everybody's different. This happens to different people at different times, at different rates. So what's important is your own experience of what's going on, and that's the only. Try not to compare yourself too much with other people. Okay. The other important thing is that, and again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but this is any kind of neurological disorder. It doesn't just happen to you. This is something that affects you and your partner and your family, your friends, your loved ones. So it's not something that happens in isolation to just one person. It's something that's happened to you and your loved ones. Okay, but obviously from a physiotherapy perspective, we're thinking about the stiffness and the weakness that affects your posture, your balance, your mobility, your hand function, your ability to sort of get by in everyday life. The other important thing to understand is the wide range of cognitive and emotional and behavioural symptoms that are a part of the Parkinson's, and are there. So you can see that there's the effect of the changes within your brain, but there's also the effect of your changed activity and lifestyle, and both of those things can have an effect on your functional ability and your independence and your quality of life. So we can't do much, as physios certainly, about what's going on in the brain. But what you can change, and you definitely can change, is your physical symptoms and your physical abilities, and also your experience of it, right? And that's why you're here, isn't it? Because you're thinking, okay, let's try and do something about this. All right, I should have said actually, if anyone does have any questions, do feel free to ask. Feel free to sort of chip in or stick your hand up and ask. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so the management of your Parkinson's really is drugs and therapy. So I'm the second bit of that. I can't do anything about drugs, although my son may be able to help you out. You could. Okay, so we're thinking about hand function, walking, balance, falls, transfer, posture, all of those sort of things. That's what physios like to think about and try and improve. We're trying to, first of all, maintain what you've got. That's number one important thing. And then secondly, try and make it a bit better. Okay, and we're thinking about your strength and your flexibility and your confidence and balance. And sometimes those are sort of two sides of the same coin, aren't they? The balance and the confidence. You know, when you start to lose your confidence, you start to do less, and that has a knock-on effect on your balance. And you can get into a downward spiral, but you can also get into an upward spiral of improving balance and better confidence. So we're trying to at least keep what you've got and maybe make it a little bit better. And it's important to give yourself a bit of a break, really, and understand that staying the same is a success. And staying the same is good, and it's the effect of what you're doing. Staying active, regular exercise, getting out and about. So it's static, but it's a static success. So give yourself a bit of a, congratulations if you are keeping as you are, because that is the effect of what you're doing. People say, oh, I'm just the same as I was 2 years ago, I haven't changed. And you think, well, yes, but if you hadn't been doing all of those things, you've got worse. So staying the same is good. Okay, the other thing that exercise can help with is the strength of your bones, So weight bearing through your bones helps maintain the mineral density, okay, which is important because if you lose the mineral density, you're much more prone to fractures in your arms or your hips or wrists, things like that. Okay, exercises and activity is good for your bladder and bowels, for your cardiovascular system, for your lungs. So the key message is use it or lose it. And obviously, I don't need to tell you that, but that's the key thing really. You've got to keep moving and using what you've got in order to keep it, okay? And hopefully stay strong and active and flexible. Okay, everyone all right? Any questions? You're thinking, oh God, I wish I hadn't bothered. All right? Okay. I thought I'd better put this up. Just if you're, I know that things in the community are basically a constant battle to get any kind of support from NHS or statutory services. The only thing that might help you a little bit is to quote that the services are supposed to comply with these NICE guidelines, National Institute of Clinical Excellence. These are kind of published guidelines that health services are supposed to comply with. So if you can quote a NICE guideline at somebody, that may give you a little bit of extra oomph in your battles, in your constant and ongoing battle to get anything from anyone at any time, ever. But anyway, look up the NICE guideline, because there's all sorts of guidance on what you should have from physio, OT, doctors, nurses, all the rest of it. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to maybe talk about that I thought might be helpful is moving and handling issues. So this is sort of for you and also your partners or the people that are helping you. I'm probably going to be telling you all sorts of things that you already know a million times over, but just there may be the odd little something that you think, oh, well, that's vaguely interesting. So I thought, okay, well, what could we think about? So I thought, well, getting out of bed is often a really difficult one for people. Standing up from a chair is often really difficult, and then standing and walking, and then transferring. So by transfers, I mean sort of getting from one place to the next. So when OTs and physios talk about transfers, they just mean moving from, getting into a car, getting on and off the toilet, getting in and out of the shower, getting on and off the chair or the bed or whatever, okay? So when you're moving, so what normally happens when people try and get out of bed is they put one leg out, and then they put the other leg out, and they sort of go halfway onto their side, and then they say, oh God, give us a hand. Yeah. And then somebody ends up, so you end up sort of pulling like this, and someone else ends up sort of pulling like this, and you think, oh, this is a complete and utter disaster. Because the more they pull, the more you sort of get pulled in, and you end either somebody gets a bad back, or it's just incredibly stressful and effortful. So, honestly, the secret is to get onto your side before you start anything. So, get them to bend their knees. Okay, so they're getting out of this side of the bed, obviously, but if it's the other way, I don't know how you set up at home. But the key thing is to bend your knees and then get right onto your side, right onto your shoulder, and right onto your side. So your pelvis is that way, rather than that way on the bed, okay? If you can get into that position, I promise you, you're halfway there, okay? And you can do that, if you get somebody to bend their knees, like that, then you can help them to roll over by, you've got a nice lever there that you can sort of help, okay? If they reach across with their other arm, and you help them with their knees, you can normally get most people onto their side, okay? That's step one. He's not quite on his side, this is not a very good picture. I promise you, you've got to be further over, as far over as you possibly can without, obviously, try not to fall out of bed, That's you sort of, if that happens, that's, you know, you've sort of gone too far.
Get a pillow and go back to sleep.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Start again tomorrow. Okay, then the next thing is try and get the knees up like that as much as you can. Okay? Don't be taking the feet off like that. Get the knees up so they're in a sitting position, lying down. Okay? So get these knees right up there like that. Okay, so then once you're in that position, you're lying down, you've got your head on the pillow, you've got your knees up like that. Then they're going to push with their arms, and you're going to you're going to give them a little bit of support from the knees down. Okay? If they start falling backwards, you can put a hand behind them. Okay? But try not to end up pulling them. All right? Bingo, someone's sitting up. Piece of cake. You think, oh crikey, that was easy. I'm so glad I went to that talk. Anyway, I'm sure this is all fairly obvious to you all, but it's something that lots of people do struggle with. So,
Put the socks on.
yeah, yes.
That's the best position at the moment, one to put the socks on.
The socks on in this position. Yeah, definitely. Good idea. And actually, if the feet are sliding around, put the shoes on as well. Yeah. Bending forwards is a really good exercise for people. In fact, we're going to talk about that next, I think. Right. So, sit to stand. Now, this is the other thing. People sort of lean over and say, oh, give us a hand. And you end up sort of in this tug of war where they're sort of pulling on you and you're pulling on them. And again, you're thinking, oh crikey, there must be a better way. The secret is to get right forwards. So if you're going to help them, don't help them up, help them forwards. Okay? Generally speaking, people keep enough strength in their legs to push up. What they can't do is bring their weight over their feet before they push up. Okay? So, leaning forwards like that, or stretching down towards the feet, doesn't matter if you can't get down all the way towards your feet, but try and have a stretch forwards before you stand up, before you try and stand up. So it might just mean try and slide your hands down the front of your shins, try and lean on your knees, try and reach forwards and tap the frame in front of you, try and lean forwards and touch the sideboard, try and lean forwards, touch the bedside table. Whatever you've got to encourage people, encourage yourself to lean forwards and have a bit of a stretch in that position before you try and stand up. Okay? If you find yourself pushing up and you're falling back into the chair every time, what that means is you've not got your weight far enough forwards. Okay? So if people are half standing and then falling back into their chair, it means they need to bring their weight further forwards somehow. You could stand next to them and just help their weight forwards. That can help. But what you don't want to do is end up pulling them because, well, it's not great for either of you, is it? So this is an exercise, but it sort of shows the point as well. Okay, so transfers, I just thought I'd sort of talk about, there's lots and lots of equipment. Hello.
Could I ask you a question about the last two slides?
Yes, please do.
When my wife was in the latter stage of Parkinson's, we got a bed that tilted up
Oh, yes.
electrically and,
Yes.
and a chair that got her out. Now,
Perfect.
that solved the problem,
Yeah.
but in hindsight and looking at those, were we doing the right thing, or should she have persevered and tried to do that?
I mean, I would always go for do what works.
Yeah.
You know, if you try these simple things and they work, then that's great because A, it will save you the money, and B, it's much more active.
Yeah.
So keep what you've got for as long as what you need, you know, for as long as you can.
Yeah.
But I would also say you know, when you need the electric bed or the riser recliner armchair, then get one. Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I think lots of the time, I see people, and I know they've been saving all their life, and they've got money in sort of pots here or there because they were saving for the rainy day. And I think, it's raining.
Yeah.
Spend it.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, the kids will get the house, don't worry about that. You know,
Spend the kids' inheritance.
yeah, spend the kids' inheritance. But you know, you don't hold back on spending the money that you need to make your life easier and safer for you and your loved ones and more enjoyable. You know, that's what you saved for, isn't it? So that you would, when you got to this stage, you would be able to afford a recliner bed or
Yeah.
a riser recliner. So I think take a deep breath and sort of dip into the
Thank you very much.
funds.
Yeah, spend money,
Yeah, spend it. You know, spend it on things that make life easier. And everybody's different about this. Everyone sort of chooses to, you know, some people will sort of get the equipment really early on, some people will struggle on as long as they can. There's no right or wrong way. But I say, if you're really struggling and you're at risk of injuring yourself or somebody else, then get the equipment to make life easier. Definitely. That's what you saved it for. So I'm sure you've all seen these bits and pieces before. This is, they call it a leg lifter. It's basically like a sort of dog lead with an invisible dog at the end. This is stiff. This is a stiff pole here. Well, yeah, stiff anyway. And then you've got two loops. And the idea is that you just hook it around your foot and it, you lift it into, helps lift your foot up into bed. Okay? Can help a little bit. There's also, this is about a tenner. This is about £600. But this is a different type of leg lifter, which is electric, and you sit on the edge of the bed and then you press the button and it moves your legs up. And then all you've got to do is slide them across. Or if you can't do that, you can get a sliding sheet to help them across. So often people getting into bed is quite difficult. People sit down on the bed and then they sort of lie down and their legs are off the bed, and somebody has got to come along and go and put the legs into bed, okay, which again is hard work. So leg lifters can help, okay. This thing here is called a bed lever. Have you seen all these things before? No, okay. So this is a bed lever, and it sort of goes under the mattress. So you would have it, so you'd be lying in bed and then there'd be a rail here next to you. Okay? So it can help you when you roll onto your side, because that's what you're all going to do now. You've got a rail there to hold on to. And then as your legs come up off the bed, you can push up on the rail, and then you can hold the rail to help you to balance when you're sitting on the edge of the bed. So you put it under the mattress, up by the pillow. And that can, they're pretty cheap, £30 or so, and it can give you something solid, so you don't, because lots of time people get up and then you turn your back to go and get the flannel, and you come back and they've sort of gone up down, you think, oh crikey, now we've got to start again trying to get up. So bed levers can help. These are little sort of booster seats that you can put onto car seats or armchairs, dining room chairs, things like that. They're just, they've got a little spring in them, so they give you that little boost. They can be quite useful.
Do they swivel as well?
No, they don't. They don't swivel.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes people put plastic bags under them, which helps them to swivel.
Right, okay.
Sometimes people sit on plastic bags in the car seat so they can swivel to get their legs out of bed. I don't think that's approved by the police in any major form, but it can help. A plastic bag under your bottom. Just try not to stop suddenly, otherwise you might slide into the footway. Yeah, maybe not when you're driving. Okay, and then, so we talked about sit to stand, for sort of getting yourself out of a dining chair or an armchair. If that is getting too difficult, then there are sort of a whole variety of different things, really. Sort of, this is called a return, and you put your feet on there, the knees go on here, you reach forwards, somebody stands on the other side of it, and then you pull yourself up into standing, and then the platform rotates, so you sort of hold yourself there, platform rotates, and then you sit back down again. So if you're really struggling with your transfers, and it's getting to the point where it's unsafe, or you're going to injure yourself, or you're going to injure somebody else, then the return, or this is called the Mo lift, which is, if you get one from social services, you'll probably end up with a Mo lift. Have you seen these things before? Yes.
They brought one to my husband and he hated it.
Yes.
That. But
This one?
But the bed rail, they call it a bed rail.
Oh yes,
That
okay.
thing that
Yeah.
went under the mattress.
Yes.
That was wonderful. I even used to take that on holiday.
Yeah. I know, that's right. When you get a good bit of kit, it's worth its weight in gold,
That was
isn't it?
very good. And also, not a rising bed, but a rising pillow.
Yes.
Top half of it.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was amazing.
And they are a lot cheaper than the actual buying the whole bed. Yeah. And they just sort of go up. They're just a
That's
V,
right,
aren't
the
they? And
top
they
of
just
the
do
bed.
that. Yeah.
Brings the pillow up.
Yeah.
That's
Really
very
good. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. I take your point, because these,
Couldn't stand that.
they are completely. Yeah, then they are Sackberry. Yeah, you see people going down the corridors in them, and you think, oh, that can't be good. But the problem with those is they are completely different to a normal sit to stand. You know, I've been telling you, you've got to bring your weight forwards to get your nose over your toes, is what everyone always says, nose over your toes, and then push up. Brilliant. When you can't, if you do sort of need to go onto one of these, then it's completely different. You're pulling yourself up with your arms. You need strong arms. You don't need to bring your weight forwards. You don't need to, you're doing a bit with your legs, but in a completely different biomechanical way to a normal sit to stand. So if you think it's getting too tricky, try one. If you like it, brilliant. But, it is what it is, isn't it? It's sort of, it works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. If it's the only way of transferring from a chair to a toilet or into bed or whatever, that's what you have to do. But it is a little bit like, if you start using one, then it's hard to go back to doing it on your own, I think. This is a similar thing, a sort of a rotating platform with much more support. This is called Sarah Steady. Have you seen these before? So it's similar. So what happens is they'd sit there, right? You'd be sitting here, your feet go onto this, your knees go onto there. These two things flip out of the way. You reach forwards, you stand up, or you stand up and then hold onto the bar. And then these two things flip behind you, and then you can sit down. So you're in that position, and then you can move around the place. I mean, they're okay. This is a standing hoist. This is an Oxford sort of sling hoist. Oh, and this is quite useful. This is called a Mangar lifting cushion. Okay, and this is to help people off the floor. Right, so what you would do is somebody's on the floor, and this is completely deflated, so it's sort of like a flat lilo, and you would slide it underneath their bottom, and then you would bring their weight forward so they were sitting up, but on the floor still, and then you'd inflate this. It's sort of more stable than it looks, to be honest. You'd inflate that until they are sitting on a sort of chair. And then from there you stand up. So sometimes if this is quite a useful way off the floor, because otherwise you're going to be calling the neighbours to sort of try and lift you up, which is not ideal.
In,
We had a
Done that.
specialist unit come to our house once, and they used one of those, and I was
Right,
so,
yeah.
I was so impressed, I looked it up on the internet, but they're £1,600, you know, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, you can get cheaper ones. This,
Can you?
yeah, I think this is about £6.50,
Oh,
something
right,
like
so
that.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, it's not cheap, is it? But
no, but it's sold, it's a hell of a good way of solving
it's
this
cheaper
difficult
than a
problem.
back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
when I'm trying to get sit up, I feel if I had a hook or something above me, then I use
Yes.
my arms as well to pull up rather than push.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you're on the floor, do you mean, or when you're standing up
Well,
from the
it's
chair?
At the bed, even.
Yeah,
Going into that rolling over position.
yeah. It's tricky, isn't it? Because it's hard, where it's hard to put a bar there, isn't it? Sometimes people have bars on the walls that they can reach forwards and use. That works quite well.
Do the rope with
Yeah, you can get sort
a
of
guide.
ladder, sort of things that come up from the back of the bed and
Yeah.
over and down. You can get those.
Can you?
Yeah, yeah. I think they call them monkey poles.
Right. Suit me.
Yeah.
Need one, there's a
Will,
trip
can I
over,
say,
just break my
Sorry.
shoulder.
can I remind you to repeat questions?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Can I just say the cheap carrier bags are what you need to swivel on? No
Yes.
buying a bag for life and just get them really cheap.
Good tip there. If you're gonna sit on a carrier bag to help you swivel, get a cheap one. Don't get a bag for life because they're not skiddy enough. This is what we've lost, you see.
Don't get one that decomposes. You know those.
Okay, well.
I'm asking a question.
Yes.
Please excuse me for my accent. We are learning on Parkinson, and then the leg lifter. Assuming the person is shivering, how will he or she be able to lift and then put himself on the bed?
Yeah. I mean.
And then also the sitting and standing.
Mhm.
Let's assume I'm shivering. How will I
Yes.
be able to stand up? I might fall.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different, and one piece of equipment isn't right for everybody. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to think, do I think this might help? Is it worth the risk? Sometimes you can try equipment. Sometimes you can buy it and send it back if it doesn't work. I think sometimes you think, okay, well, it's worth a try, so I'm gonna persevere for a bit, and if I can get it to work, brilliant. And if I can't get it to work, well, it goes in the pile with all the other stuff that I've tried, or maybe I pass it on to somebody else. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any right or wrong answer with this, definitely. And if someone's got a really strong tremor, then maybe that's not the right thing for them. Sorry, I should have repeated that question. The question was, if someone's got a terrible tremor, how are they going to use a leg lifter? Or how are they going to stand up properly? You're right.
It is a resting tremor.
Yes.
And so if you actually reach out to grab something, the tremor doesn't seem to actually.
It's not so bad, is it?
No.
Sorry, yes, you're saying it's more of a resting tremor. So when you're doing something active, it's much less evident, isn't it?
How does the bedpost work?
Sorry, say again?
How does the bedpost work? Do you go on the bed first and then that last where your hand is?
This one?
Yeah.
This is the sort of a full sling hoist.
Right.
So this either you have a harness here that goes underneath you, and then it's attached, and it can either be attached to a mobile frame that is moved around, which tricky to push on carpet,
Yeah.
or it's attached to an overhead ceiling track. Okay, and if you need hoisting, I would say ceiling track is by far the best, better than a mobile hoist. Has anyone used a mobile hoist? Yes. Would you recommend a mobile hoist? No, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
I use it on my wife.
Right.
And, like you said, on the carpet, it's a bit tricky.
Yes, on the carpet it's a nightmare. Yeah.
We did have a ceiling hoist in the end.
Ceiling track is better, isn't it, I think? Although you're sort of limited to one place. So that's the problem with the ceiling track. Yeah, so we were just saying hoist's a bit of a nightmare. Was there a question?
Well, just a comment. If you have a ceiling track, don't get a retired greyhound, because my mother had a retired greyhound that would go crazy when the ceiling track.
Okay.
What?
Sound advice.
What? Oh, yes.
Some of this equipment is wonderful, some of it's very expensive. And I think it's really important to know that the route to most of this equipment is through the local occupational therapy team.
Yes.
And they'll provide it through the NHS.
Yes.
Which is really worthwhile, as you were saying. Try it, if it doesn't work, try something else.
Yes.
Some of these things are very expensive, but the GOT team will test it out with you, send it in, show you how to use it.
It's an excellent point, and I should have mentioned that. Yes. I think, I mean, you probably have to wait a long time, but it's probably worth it.
What did you say?
Sorry, he was just making the point that a lot of this equipment comes through the social services OT, occupational therapist, and they will advise and fund the equipment.
The delay is generally getting the appointment. Once they've made the decision, the stuff arrives within days.
Okay, the delay is with the appointment rather than with the delivery of the equipment. Equipment delivery is actually quite slick, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, was there another question? I saw, yes, hello.
I think the two gentlemen over there were on about the monkey bar.
Oh, yeah,
How
okay.
was that attached to your bed?
I think, I'm not sure, you know, but I think it attaches to the back of the bed. And then there's a pole that goes up and over and down. That's as far as I understand it, yeah. There was just a question there about how does the monkey bar attach?
And
Okay.
What do you do to contact the occupational therapy? Who do you go to? Doctor's surgery?
Yeah. Yeah, most things are through the GP referral, aren't they? Okay, that's transfers. What else? Oh yeah, standing and walking. I mean, I know you know all of these things. I just wanted to. There's a couple of things. These four-wheeled walkers are quite good because they have a seat and brakes, so you can put the brakes on and then turn around and sit down. That can be helpful. This one here. This here is a laser that attaches to a walking stick, and it projects a beam out in front of your stick. And quite often people will sort of get frozen when they're walking, and if there's something on the floor, a sort of visual cue that people can step over, it sometimes helps sort of overcome that freezing. I don't know if people have seen those before or kind of recognise that experience. Sometimes doorways are really tricky. Sometimes if someone's sort of a bit stuck, sometimes you just put your foot in front of theirs and say, step over my leg, step over my foot. Then that sort of just cues them, that visual cue can help get them going again. But that's the sort of principle behind this laser. That sort of it's a visual cue on the ground. There's obviously tripods as well as walking sticks. I say if you're using a walking stick quite often, then get yourself a moulded handle rather than a round handle. It's much more comfortable and it spreads the weight. So it moulds around your hand. You have to get the right size. So, you order a left or a right, but they can be quite good. These flexi-foot ferrules are quite useful. So you just attach them to the end of the walking stick, but they bend a little bit. And this is a similar one. So what happens is, you tend to sort of put your stick down at a bit of an angle, don't you? So after a while, if you look at the rubber ferrule on the bottom, it's sort of getting a bit worn. And actually, you're hitting the ground with quite a small part of the ferrule at the bottom of your stick, and it can get a bit slippery, especially sort of wet leaves and things like that. So these flexi-foot ferrules are a bit more useful sometimes.
Can I ask if people find a tripod at the end of the stick, which will,
The tripod, yeah, it gives you a lot more stability, and you can sort of lean on it and rely on it a lot more.
it's difficult getting it in between chairs and things like that.
Yeah, it is tricky. I mean, you know, everything comes with a price, doesn't it? So that you sort of think, okay, if I don't need a tripod, I'll just wait. If I can manage with a walking stick, that's great. The good thing about tripods is, you know, they stand up on their own.
Yeah.
You don't have to lean them against the sofa. You know, and somebody, you know, you put a stick down and then it falls over and you think, oh, blimey, now it's on the floor. You know what I mean? At least a tripod will stay put. But you do end up putting more weight down through them, and so it swings and roundabouts. I would say if you can manage with a stick, use a stick. If you need a tripod, get yourself a tripod. These are Nordic walking poles. Does anyone do Nordic walking?
He's got the poles, but he hasn't done the Nordic one.
Well, you're halfway there. She's telling tales on you. You're used to it, hasn't he? Sorry, there were a few people do Nordic walking. Was somebody? Yeah. You enjoy it? It's good. Nordic walking's great for Parkinson's, isn't it? I think.
We do it in the group.
Yeah. Okay. What with the
Sawston.
Sawston group? Yeah. Okay. I'll mention that later. Oh, look at that. That's a work of art. It looks like an old umbrella, doesn't it? Sorry, yes?
I've still got one of these laser walking sticks
Ah, okay.
that my husband used. If anybody wants to try it out, they're
Perfect.
welcome to do so.
Okay.
And I would be happy to, I'd be happy to let them have it in return for a donation to the local branch.
A laser walking stick then?
How tall was your husband?
5'10". It is adjustable.
Yeah, it is alright.
Yeah, it sort of goes on to the thing, doesn't it? Yeah. Like Noel Edmondson's swap shop. Right.
Showing your age now.
I know, yeah, it's a bit of a throwback, isn't it? Right.
Well, you've got a question about.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
I just think about the walking sticks themselves. How do you get the correct height?
Yeah, okay. What?
I think a lot of people just inherit walking sticks and think they're the one to use, but
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, how do you measure them?
Well, the therapists, what they'll do is they'll get you to stand with your arms down by your sides, and then they'll look for the little bone, it's basically the end of your ulna, on the little finger side. So that little bit of bone there, and they'll use that as the height. So they'll say, stand up straight, arms down by your sides, and then they'll measure it to that. Because the idea is that your arm is slightly bent. Okay? So you should be able to stand up straight with your arms slightly bent. Okay? If you feel like you're doing this, or this, it's the wrong height. And it is really important, yeah, to get it the right height. The other thing is, if you're using it because, you know, one side is a bit weaker than the other, then put it in the opposite side to your weak leg. But, yeah.
The place
So,
at Horningseys, they do mobility, don't they?
yeah, okay. Yes, they do. They do.
Used to be Seymour Street.
There's garden centres are the places to go now, aren't they, for the mobility equipment? Or there's big showrooms as well. But get it opposite. If this is your weaker leg, you want to be able to step forwards like that. So it's supporting your weaker leg. Don't put it in your weak side and walk like that, because that doesn't look great.
Well, I've got Parkinson's, I've got a broken ankle, so I always have mine on the right side.
Yes, perfect.
Is there anything like an envelope which you can lift the pillow up at an angle so you can read in bed? Or
Yes.
motorised?
Yes, this lady over here was talking about them. They go under your mattress, and they're sort of that shape, and then you press a button and it does that.
Yeah, but can you go on top of the mattress and just the pillow on top of that?
Yes, I think so.
Electric.
Yeah,
You have your
yeah, that would work. I don't. They're sort of canvas.
Half the battle at getting your body forward. But
Yeah.
you've got this motorised up.
Yeah, I would try one. I would try one. If you put it under the mattress, it sort of fixes it in place. Whereas if it's on top of the mattress, it might be a bit unstable.
It's all fixed completely.
Yeah, it's the.
Had to have people to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. He's saying, can it go on top of the mattress? And I'm saying that might be harder to put it on top, I think. But the ones under the mattress generally work okay, don't they?
Very well.
Yeah. Yeah. These are other walking aids. This thing here, I don't know whether you've seen this. It's called the Life Glider. It's not been around very long. You basically you've got this that you sort of is a seat, which comes up sort of about this height, and then you hold the handles and then you walk forwards. So it's quite nice because you've not got anything in front of you. There's a strap that goes around your waist. The thing to do is always to look on YouTube. That's where I always look at things. And if you go on YouTube, you'll see pictures of people kind of, taking both feet off the ground and reaching forwards. I did try it at a conference recently, and I thought it was quite good. I quite liked it. It's quite nippy, and the problem with all of these frames is they put you into this position, which is exactly what you're trying to avoid, isn't it? So if you need one, great, but if you don't need one, this is quite nice because it's got its handles here, and then you're walking forwards, and everything is, all the gubbins is sort of behind you. So they're quite good. This is called the U-step. You've seen people with the U-step. It's quite a sort of strong, supportive frame. It's got the handles there that you pull the handles to move. Okay, so it's sort of a bit counterintuitive. You think you'd put the brakes on, but actually you're pulling the handles to move forwards. This one's also got a laser light on the floor. It's got 4 wheels. It's got a seat. It does fold up to be reasonably small. And then this is an even bigger frame. And this would be sort of, it's not that practical for getting from A to B. It's more of a sort of, okay, I'm doing this for exercise. People talk about it's got a pulpit frame because it's sort of up like that. But there's a range of different options. Okay, exercise equipment. I wonder what time. What time is it? Is it 10 to 12?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, so there's a range of exercise equipment. This is the summary of this slide. These balance pads are good. They're about sort of £40, £50. Working on your balance, that can be really good. Gym balls, exercise bikes. People spend sort of £30 on pedals that go on the floor. 99 times out of 100, they tend to be a bit of a waste of money because they just keep moving around all over the place. These are great, but they do cost about £5,000. So this is the Motormed, and there's one called the Ferrovital. There's all sorts of hand-arm equipment, exercise cycles, recumbent cycles. One in Emmaus for £5. Okay.
Lots of frames.
Yeah, I bet they do. I bet they do. I would never buy one of these new, because eBay and second-hand shop, they're full of people who've bought one with good intentions, and then they've used it twice and thought, oh, I think I might sell that now. So I would always, these as well, I would, look on eBay or the internet for those. Boxing gloves, weights, all those sorts of things, really good. Okay, exercise. So I feel like you might be a self-selecting bunch, really, who understand the importance of staying active, keeping strong, keeping mobile. So I'm preaching to the converted, I understand that. But this is a regular exercise is as important as your medication. So I think if you're struggling to convince your husband of the benefits of regular exercise, say, well, look, you know, would you ignore your medication? You would take your tablets, wouldn't you? And the exercise is the other side of that. You've got to keep moving if you possibly can. None of us, I'm standing here feeling like a complete hypocrite. I don't exercise as much as I ought to. You know, few of us do. It's one of those things that you don't really look forward to it, but when you've done it, you very rarely regret it. So try and get into a routine. And the other way of looking at it is if you can keep yourself strong and active, you are more independent. And so that means you will rely less on your loved ones to haul you out of bed, to get you on your feet, to get you down to the shops, to get you to the garden centre, whatever it is that you enjoy doing as a couple. You'll think, look, this is investment. If you do the exercises, you will stay strong, you will stay active, and you'll stay independent, so it won't be me hauling you out of bed and pushing you around so much. I mean, that's a bit of emotional blackmail that you could also employ. Okay, so there's lots of different opportunities, aren't there? Exercising at home, there are hundreds and hundreds of exercises on YouTube. There's instructors who will run Zoom sessions online. Since COVID, this has become so easy and accessible. So lots and lots of people doing one-to-one or group sessions online, or just watch a YouTube video, or go to the gym, go to the park, either with somebody, with a buddy, with a friend. If you make an appointment, I think that's quite an important thing, because then you've sort of got to stick to the appointment. It's very hard to go, okay, I'm going to be at home today, I'll do some exercise at some point, because, you know, I know from experience, you very rarely do. Whereas if you think, okay, I've got an appointment, I've got somebody coming to see me, or I've got to go somewhere at a certain time, then you do it, don't you? Attending group sessions, but, you know, just find what you enjoy as a way to try and stay active. So there's, I mean, lots and lots of different things, and there'll be 100 more. But, you know, swimming, cycling, singing groups, aerobics, aqua aerobics, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, all of these things are really useful. Hello, well, Watford? It's postural. It sort of uses gentle techniques to try and stretch you, to try and improve your posture. So there's all sorts of yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, Alexander technique. They're all different approaches to try and improving your postural flexibility, balance, all those sort of things. I wanted to mention about the hydro pool in Fulbourn. Have you been to the hydro pool in Fulbourn? Does everyone know about this? It's a real gem, honestly.
I've been trying to get them to run a Parkinson's session for about 10 years.
Yeah, okay. It's quite oversubscribed, but they do have a drop-in exercise group, mornings 9 till 10:30. I think it costs £8. You turn up, you get yourself in the pool, you do your exercises, you go away. There's a lifeguard on the side, but it's a great place. You have to book in advance, I should warn you, and you have to book a week in advance. You can't sort of say, oh yeah, book for the next 10 sessions or whatever. You can have the pool to yourself, but that will cost you £54, which sounds a lot, but it's actually quite a bargain, believe me, for a lifeguard and everything. But it's got stairs up the outside with a rail, and then it's got stairs into the pool. It's sort of from here to that poster over there. It's a good size, and it's heated to about 34 degrees. So it's like a bath. You're not going to get cold in here. The idea is that it's designed for exercise. So you can stand still, you can work on your strength, your balance, your flexibility, and you're not going to get cold. You might get cold when you get out, I warn you, especially if you go in the winter. So have a towel on the side to put around your shoulders when you get out. But if you can manage the stairs, great. If not, you can't really see it here, but there's a hoist in the corner, a seat, you can go up, down into the water. And if you're working on your, say you want to be walking without the stick anymore, or balancing, or all of these things. You're in the water, you're not going to fall over. You might, splosh a little bit, but you're not going to have a horrible tumble like you would on dry land. Sorry, Caroline.
Does a carer have to pay as well?
I would imagine so, yes. But there's lots of people there. You just go and do your own thing. Everyone's friendly. There's a big male changing room, big female changing room, showers, toilets. It's a good facility. It's in Fulbourn next to Ida Darwin. But if you look online, it'll show you.
Last time we went to the Abbey Pool, it was so cold because he gets
Yeah.
angina, he had come out.
I know, that is the problem. Leisure centre pools are cooler because they're fine. You can stay warm if you're swimming up and down, but they're not designed to stand still and do exercises. That's the problem. Yeah, they are cold though, and also they tend to be not as easy to get in and out of.
So Sheila used to swim outside in
Yeah.
May to
Yeah, hydrotherapy is the opposite of wild swimming. It's water, but that's the only similarity. There is one at Adam Brooks. Yeah, I don't know how accessible that is. Yeah, it's sort of, you get referred, you go and have your physio. If you can either sort of get a referral there and get going and get shown some exercises and then carry on at Fulbourn, that would work well. Or look online. There's all sorts of resources online for exercises. These just some local exercise groups. I'm sure you're probably aware of all of these already. Someone's already mentioned the Nordic walking in Sawston. They also do, the guy there's great, there's a PD Challenger class as well. Has everybody met Marlene Sharp Williams? Yes. She's great. She runs great exercise classes.
Can you do it for her? She says do it, you do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you don't dare not. I know. Exactly. She hasn't got a whip. Has she got rid of the whip? I think she's, yeah. So there are lots of things. There's lots and lots around. I imagine that you would sort of swap notes at this kind of venue.
Was referred to the strength and balance by the Parkinson's Care.
Perfect. Yeah.
But you can do it again apparently.
Yeah.
And I fell over and he said, well, you can come as well.
Yeah. And I think those groups are your best bet because you meet people, you chat, you have social contact, you exercise. Perfect. It's exactly what you should do. There's loads and loads online. If you type any of these things into YouTube, you'll have Smart XPD are good. LSVT Big are great, and PD Warrior as well. Are you sort of familiar with all of those phrases and names and things? Really, really loads of really useful exercises online. Power for Parkinson's, and then there's also online Tai Chi and yoga and lots. So YouTube's a great resource. Okay, I thought I better suggest some bed exercises. I would say lying on your front, either in this position or this position if you can manage it, is a really, really good exercise. If you can roll onto your front and have a good stretch, preferably up on your elbows, that's a great long-term management exercise. Everybody tends to get a bit stooped and flexed, and then their spine stiffens up, the muscles at the front stiffen up, and then bingo, you're stuck in that position. If you can lie on your front a little bit, stretch your abdominal muscles, stretch the back, your spine. Obviously, if you're going to get stuck in that position, or it's agony, don't do it. But if you can, keep doing it, because that's a great exercise. And if you can prop up on your elbows, like Baldy on the side there is doing, then that's great. She's bending her knee up and down, and then lifting the legs straight. He's got his knees bent and then moving from side to side. That's a great exercise. Yeah. If you go anywhere and see anyone who mentions exercise, you're probably going to get given this one and this one. bridging.
Oh, yes, yes.
Basically they're, you know, but they're great,
But you
because
should
this
have
one's,
a pillow under your head, Bridge.
oh, give him a break. You might have a sore neck.
You should,
But yeah, ideally, either side, this stretches out the side of your trunk and stretches out your hips and your lower spine. Brilliant exercise. This is a good one, lying on your side and lifting your leg up and down. Okay, these muscles here on the side are really important for your stability. When you stand on one leg, these muscles are what stops you from doing that. Okay, so if you find that when you stand on one leg you're sort of dipping a little bit, then it's probably you're weak here. Okay, and you need to do this exercise a lot. If your knees are dipping, you need to strengthen your quads. So lots of knee extension, either sitting, lying, or dips in standing. This is just stretching your shoulder. I'm pressing on now, I'm worried about the time. Okay, now, I'm sorry about the cat. I only realised the cat had invaded at the last minute. I thought, oh, they'll never notice. Okay, so we're a bit short of time, but there's lots and lots of really useful exercise. You'll find these online as well. The most important thing when you're doing these exercises, I'm finishing at 12, is that right? Right, okay. The most important thing is to go big. Go big and fast and strong with whatever exercise you're doing, okay? So if you're reaching forwards, go big, okay? Think fast, think big, think strong, okay? If you're doing a big step forwards, think big, really big, okay? That's the key to these exercises. So go forwards, go down, go up, don't worry about the cat, go back, yeah? I won't ask for a guinea pig to do these. And then arms out to the side, sideways, dip, sideways, dip. Okay, so lots of rotation and stretching your side. There's hundreds and hundreds of chair exercises that you can do. Okay, but I think I've got a sort of a list really, and they are all online. But perhaps if I could email this to you, and then you could sort of circulate to anyone that wants them. Okay, so forwards and back, legs out to the sides, alternate arms and legs, hands on your shoulders, rotate to the side. Okay, so there's lots and lots you can do just in the chair, going across your body, going up and out. Okay, then marching on the spot with your arms. Okay, but think big movements. Okay, really nice, great, big, strong, enormous movements. And if you go to like any of the exercise groups for people with Parkinson's, that's what they'll be encouraging you to do, I'm sure, especially the PD warrior stuff. Okay, this is a really useful exercise. So stand with the chair and you're working on your lateral stability here. Okay, you remember I said it's really important for your balance when you're standing. Where am I going? Oh yeah, standing exercises. So hold the chair, go back, good for your bum, nice pert bottom is what we're all after, isn't it? If you're flicking your heels up, good for your hamstrings behind, lifting your leg up. Oh, I can't balance now. If you're holding the chair, try and let go of the chair, try and keep your balance. If you can do that, close your eyes. If you can stand with your eyes closed on one leg, then try and do something a bit more dynamic. But keep close. Whatever balance exercise you do, you're trying to just do it. So you're working really hard, you're really working your balance, but you're doing it. Okay? If you find yourself falling over, you've gone too far. Okay? That's the number one tip, I would say.
Marlene tells you off because you have to pay.
Yeah, Marlene, don't dare fall over in front of Marlene, you'll be in trouble. Okay, so this is a great exercise. So you stand forwards and then back and forwards. And really go out like that. Okay, I know it's easier said than done, but that's what you're aiming for. Okay. James Bond. So arms forwards and twist. Forwards and twist. Okay. That's a good exercise. All right. So in summary, sorry, I've gone a bit over, but the physical effects vary. Everyone's different. Really, it's not rocket science. Keep moving, keep active, keep getting out there, keep involved. Use it or lose it. Try and have fun. And when you need the equipment, buy the equipment. Give yourself a break. Spend the kids' inheritance. Do whatever you need to do to keep active and keep your life meaningful and fun. Okay.
Thank you.